Hello, you are live on the air. This is the Paul Pluta channel. This is the Paul Pluta channel, your premium place for wristwatch content. Wristwatch content. So, guys, we are live, and I've got Clive. We are live with Clive. It's Friday night in the good old United States of America. It's Friday night, and I gotta tell you guys, I'm really looking forward to today's show. Clive has he's been chomping at the bit there to get involved, and it's all good. It's showtime. So guys, let's introduce our favorite pro bono lawyer. Favorite pro bono lawyer in America. If you need pro bono work, Clive is 1-800 pro bono in Oklahoma City. Is that right? 1-800 pro bono.
Sure,
hello.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
You're looking for pro bono work in the Christmas lead up?
No, I'm not looking for pro bono work in the Christmas lead up. No.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive actually. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you kind of leading into pro bono watch reviews?
It's different, Clive.
Well, I am doing pro bono work. I'm here with you, aren't I?
Hey, that's a good point. That's a very good point there. You are doing pro bono work. Clive, how's your week? Tell me what's happened in your week. What's going on this week? Tell me.
Technically, it's probably more pro horno than pro bono, but yes. Well, no, it's just been a busy week. It's been tons of court, tons of clients, and I've had worse weeks, quite frankly. I've been kind of on a vintage shopping spree, and enjoying the hell out of it. So nothing. I won't bother you about any of the pieces here because I know you're not remotely interested in. But yeah, I've just got a bunch of really nice, cool old Swiss vintage chronographs. And okay, super chat from Tanzil and sorry, JLC Master Ultra Thin Perpetual or Patek 5196.
5196, without a doubt. JLCs, look, I love them. I love them to death. But man, they are very, very, very soft. And you know, the funny thing is, I think realistically, service costs on the JLC, it's a perpetual calendar. It's going to be expensive. It's a great watch. Look, I would say personally, I would go 5196, but that's not to say the JLC is a bad choice. The Master Ultra Thin Perpetual, it is killer. That is killer. Do you want to see what it looks like, Clivey? Do you want to see what it looks like?
Absolutely.
I will show you what this baby looks like just so you can see it on the screen on your dial. We've got to put a smile on your dial. This is what it looks like, Clivey.
Actually, someone else on the channel that you've talked with have told me that JLC is getting ready to introduce a new model, and he's got a sneak peek at it.
JLC, I love JLC. I tell you honestly, I don't understand why JLC is a little bit soft on the resale, but I think to be honest with you, it could be a good time to buy because they are magnificent watches. These are so damn cool. So, I mean, they don't give me a cent. They don't give me a brass razoo, a pot to piss in, a brass I don't get nothing. But they are, I love them. I really do love them. And we had Donnie on the show. He was saying he doesn't think the quality is quite Patek quality. It's this and it's that.
No, he said the casing and the movement. I mean, the casing and everything else. He doesn't think the movement is quite the same quality as Patek.
Yeah,
but he mentioned everything else.
You got to remember, this is a man who knowingly bought a Court Seiko, a Grand Seiko. You know, you got to sometimes take a bit what he says. Got to have some poetic license with Donnie. You always got to do what you want to do. I love JEWELLERY. Actually, to tell you the truth, look, I tell you the truth, man, I think somebody who's buying that watch, money's not really that tight. I reckon. Look, you could flip. Either way would be cool. Either way. I think the 5196 would be retained, but I mean, you're not buying these watches for an investment. This is for. I think either way is fine. Either way, sunshine. That's.
Well, in honor of the JLC, I'm going to take off my vintage chronograph.
Yes, please do.
With a Valgy 22. I mean, have you ever wound one of those movements up? It makes this wonderful audible tactile click 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 click, just like you're winding history. Anyway, in honor of JLC, I will take off my vintage chronograph.
Yes.
And I will put on the JLC Reverso.
Okay, thank you.
And in honor of the Pontiff.
Yes.
If I can get the thing. Okay, here we go. And in honor of the Pontiff, I'm going to switch it from the white dial.
To Brisbane. Brisbane time. Thank you, Clive.
You're welcome. Oh, by the way, honorable mention to someone on this channel.
Sure.
Azra Kasarian, you have my massive respect. You know what you did. You did me proud, boy. You did me proud. I'll tell you when the channel's off, but it was a good one.
No worries. That sounds good.
He is rapidly becoming a valuable papal agent, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Secret agent.
Thank you. Clive, I got to tell you there, what's happened in your week? Tell me what's going on. And you've had a very busy week. I spoke to the old man where we haven't been able to pull any Sheilas. I haven't been able to pull any online dates. I haven't been able to pull anything. I haven't been able to pull anything besides myself. And I got to tell you this, in all honesty, Clive, I will be spending Christmas. I'll be making some live shows, broadcasting live from the mansion. We're going to be doing a cribs tour of the mansion.
Nice. Now, will Papa Pluta actually get out of the chair? Can he actually get out of the chair? There's speculation that he has become permanently affixed to the chair, cannot retrieve himself out.
He does walk around there, but yeah, look, we got a few things happening there, Clive. Clive, you're looking very dapper today. I must say, I think you've lost a bit of weight there. Could you stand up and turn around just so we could see the girth?
Well, actually, I sure. It's not terribly gay, I suppose. No, I mean, just, you know. One of the things I'm actually going to have to do is when I'm done with this suit, instead of going in the dry clean pile, it's going to have to go on the tailoring pile. I'm going to have it altered because I need to have it taken in. The jacket needs a couple inches taken in.
That's amazing, Clive.
If I take right now, the pants are cinched up around my waist like a hefty bag. If I were to take out this belt off, they would go right to the floor. Which is
I think, Clive, what you could do is once you finish this diet, you could just use your suit jacket as a tent for homeless people.
Possibly.
Clive, I got to tell you, yesterday my kids
super chat. Rob P. Arch, what do you think of ball watches?
The least I say about them, the better. Look, ball watches, that's those American Railway Company inspired watches. Shitters. They are shitters. I'm sorry. They are just shitters. I am sorry. I wish it wasn't. So I got a good friend of mine has one. Look, they're shitters. Shitters is, shitters is, shitters is, shitters does, shitters is, sir.
Oh, I might be looking at one more vintage watch.
We got fisting matador, Minosaurus.
Minotaurs. No, fisting Minotaurs.
Yeah. He said, you mean a tent for Archie? Yes. When he's he's quite nasty. That fisting, I find him quite a nasty guy. Like he's friendly, but I got to be honest with you. That fisting Minotaurs guy, he's a bit on the nasty side.
Oh, he's like a good friend at the bar that loves to give you a hard time. We call it red assing.
Hey, I will tell you something. Do you mean to do it? I did. My taxes have been finished, Clive. My taxes have been finished, and I can tell you now, if you want to become rich, maybe YouTube may not be the best thing to do. Okay.
Okay.
Can I share something with you? Sorry.
$2 super chat. Super chat 10 zeal and sorry.
Yes.
$2 Canadian, which is like 54 cents American or any real currency.
Yes.
Which has more fakes in the world? Red subs or YouTube gurus?
Ha 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 ha. YouTube gurus. What is a YouTube guru? I don't understand this. See, these people have all come out. You know what channel I really do love on YouTube? Watch channel.
What's that?
Austin Daniels. He's an American in Japan who broadcasts like in the middle of a station. He'll just start talking watches in the middle of. He's really quite cool. I love his channel. Nice. Now, Clive.
Oh, there is one other vintage piece I've got coming in.
Yes.
I may have sent you a picture of it, but I've got my Hoyer 347 AR from the 30/40s. I've got another vintage Hoyer coming in. It's a Hoyer triple date in stainless steel. It's somewhere from 1948 to 1950. So I'm actually kind of going up a little bit on the horological chart with complications, I think.
Okay, very cool. That's very cool, Clive. Can I share something with you or not?
Oh yes, please go ahead.
So I've done my taxes for the year. I earned just under 27,000 Aussie dollars.
Right. I'd love to see your exemptions, but go ahead.
Well, the exemptions weren't much. I mean, I had internet for home, internet costs, mobile phone costs, some travel. I had a legal bill.
Emergency fist removal.
Legal bill. I claimed a little bit of car usage. I like to try and stay on the cautious side. Like with my internet and home phone, I only claim 40%. I don't claim because I want to try and be now out of interest. For every $1,000 in tax I pay, right? Can I share what happens to it in Australia? For every $1,000 of tax, $400 goes to welfare.
Okay.
$200 to health. 95 for defense. $90 for education. General public service takes $56. Interest on government debt, $44. Transport and communications, $25. Fuel and energy, $18. Foreign aid, economic aid, $18. Industry assistance, $17. Public order and safety, $14. Housing and community, $13. Immigration, $10. Recreation and culture, $10. So that's where our money goes. The biggest chunk is welfare. $400 in welfare.
So for every $1,000, you only spend $200 in defense, right?
Correct. No, for every $1,000, we spend $95 on defense.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Clive. That was thank you. Okay, thank you. That's a great thing. Clive, so what I wanted to say to you is Clive,
Well, tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
In what way?
No, I'm just going to hope you're going to take the cue and go full Spice Girls on us.
Yes. Clive, I got to tell you, honestly, it's been, so I'm disappointed. Spider Bite is going away for Christmas. I've got a couple another couple other girls I've been communicating with. They're not interested. Yeah, no, I find it, Clive.
So you don't have to buy anybody's shed. Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
$2 super chat from Tens Real, and sorry, $2 Canadian again. So, Archie, did the book TGV gave you recommend Nana Hotel?
Ha ha ha. No, it did not. It did not. It was luxury hotels of the world, not crappy hotels of the mongering hotels of the world. I'm sorry. That's
maybe you could write a book on mongering hotels of the world.
Yes.
Get Suckerhorn to edit it for you.
Yes, that's it.
Well, actually, something else that occurred to me, it just seems like I watched a couple of your recent videos this morning when I was on the GIMP cycle, getting my 30 minutes of exercise in a day.
Mm-hmm.
No good porn. And one of the videos you basically mentioned was recommending. Oh, okay. Super chat.
Super chat.
Woody New Yorker. AC, please comment. TGV came out with his only watch you'll ever need video a few hours after you did one on the Explorer. Was he copying you? Your comment.
Hey. I think anyone can do anything they like there. You know, if I help stimulate discussion, well, that's great. I think everyone is entitled to get ideas from other people. So,
You know what video I think you should really make?
What's that?
Mark Goldberg put out, he's not really been cutting it back lately.
Yeah, I did have a look at his channel.
Did you see about which Rolexes should I sell? I think that one deserved. And he specifically mentioned your channel. He specifically mentioned
I did actually watch that video.
I think you should need to do a response to it and give him your advice.
Yes. Yeah, no, I really like Mark. I got to tell you, I got a lot of time for Mark. He's very nice. I like Mark quite a bit.
Cool guy, but selling Rolexes, what are you going to buy anyway? So anyway, I think that might be a good question. I think the Pontiff needs to set Mark Goldberg straight.
I see what you're saying.
I think it deserves a pontifical response. The other video, which I saw this morning, which I commented on, is when you're recommending the Polar Explorer 2, which I used to call that the Poor Explorer. But it's not the Poor Explorer anymore. I think the days of cheap and plentiful Polar Explorers are gone. I mean, when I see them now, and I do monitor quite a bit, they're going for as much as no date subs. So, yeah, they really are.
Yes, they
So here's what the question is. Obviously, buying a new Polar Explorer, or 42 mil for the same price as a Submariner no date is not a good value proposition, right?
Yes, correct. You're right.
Well, if the used ones are the same price as the used Submariner dates, is it still a good value proposition used?
Well, look, I think the truth is both of those watches are great. The No Date Sub and the Explorer 2 are very, very cool watches. I got to be honest with you. I think it's moving away. It's moving away from what the watch what the watch is sort of the key ingredients are changing. What do you really want? These are fashion accessories. These really have become fashion accessories. That's what they are really. And
let's be honest. The Polar Explorer is what you get when you can't afford a Submariner.
I actually sold a no-date sub to buy an Explorer 2. You know that?
But you have, as you have claimed many times on the channel, a history of untreated mental illness.
Mental illness, yes, yes. Look, I honestly think the Explorer 2 is one of the greatest GMT watches, because the problem with a rotating bezel, it's hard enough to read 24-hour time on a fixed bezel, but when it's a rotating bezel, it's next to impossible. It really is difficult.
Okay. Let me put it this way. You have $5,500 American.
Yes.
I mean, at your disposal. For the same price, would you get the Polar Explorer, a sub date pre-ceramic? Of course, we're talking $5,500. Or would you buy a Reverso Grand Duo Face?
Ooh. Look, I would honestly, it depends what you want, but I really love the Reverso. The Reverso is so damn cool. And that would be something that I'd really be going towards. I think they're super cool watches.
Especially the Duo Face, it's 2 watches in one. Really.
Oh, that is just amazing.
Now you want to say that the Polar Explorer is the same GMT as my Duo Face? Really?
No. I think the Explorer 2 is a better GMT function watch, but the Duo Face is just so cool. It is such a cool watch. But the
GMT, I think your argument was the GMT, all you really need to do is keep track of a second time zone. Really? Right?
Yes.
So having the second face of the Duo Face set to a different time zone, is that not better than the setup on the Polar Explorer or on the Explorer 2? Come on.
Good point.
Which one is easier to read?
The thing is, you've got to flip it, but is it more of a pain in the ass to flip or not?
Wah, 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 wah. No. Is that hard to flip it? No. Nope.
Look, I would say, Clive. I would say, and also just when you flip that, you've got to flip it from the side. Don't flip it straight onto the case because it doesn't like it. You know that? You got to do it from the side.
Right.
Clive, I got to tell you honestly, look, I think they are both very cool. The Reverso is very, it's a dress watch. It's really a dress watch. It's a modern, I love it. I would never bag the Duo Face, but
it's a dress watch with a sports heritage.
Look, when I'm traveling, I think the GMT function on the Explorer 2 is the best because it's a fixed bezel. I like a fixed bezel. I don't want a rotating bezel. And I really want the thing that is really dear to me is that I think it's important that you've got to buy. Look, if you're traveling first class, it's quite okay to have the Jaeger Cultra. But if you're in the coach with me, you want a nice sturdy. Now I got a few. We got a few paid reviews. Clive, we've got some super chats that come through there. Do you prefer stuck-up Kiwi bitches or Ulysses Narden? I would say Ulysses Narden. Next super chat we've got here is, do the females or lady boys give better? Okay. I've never tried a ladyboy. Eat naked sushi of fed or wear Ulysses Narden. Wear Ulysses Narden. Ulysses Narden isn't that bad. I've only ever owned one Ulysses Narden, and I lost money on it.
Okay, but I think there's one important thing we have not addressed on this chat so far. And I'm remiss for not bringing it up.
Yes.
Sucker horn!
Sucker horn. He's cool. Clive, you want to bring a guest on here. You told me you want to bring a guest on. Let's bring your friend out.
But here's the thing, though. Do you want to bring him on now, or are you going to bring him on separately on another? And let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on. You can bring him on. You can bring him on now, and I can sit in the background a bit, okay? Because that's
okay. I have sent you the guy's email address.
Okay. I will. Yeah. You did indeed. You certainly did, Clive. Let's just find it.
Now,
is he listening now? That's the question. Is he listening now? I'll send it to him. I don't know who you're inviting on, by the way, you know. As long as Suckerhorn doesn't get upset, you know.
Here.
Okay, email coming through now.
Okay, cool. So then
we're kind of on the air right now, so I'll take.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm right here. I'll wait for it. Cool.
Thanks. No history actually. Now everyone's been asking me for a while, Clyde, who is Uberoki? We want to know all the details about Uberoki. Who is he? What makes him tick? Where does he operate out of? What are his sources? How does he price things? Will you tell us who Uberoki is? And the answer is no. Fuck you. Fuck no. But however, I'm bringing on the next best thing. Actually, this guy is similar to Uberoki. He is actually out of Fistburg.
That's been sent, by the way. That email's been sent, Clivey.
Thanks. But I want to call him Uber Ohio, but he doesn't like Ohio, so we can't let this drive. Now, Thaddeus, actually, when I was posting something on another forum about, I posted an old chronograph and said, is this patina or damage? What do you guys think? And I had so many people basically just slag off, give ignorant opinions and saying, oh, it's water damage, it's water damage. And this guy actually came forward and said, no, this is actually the paint peeling off. This happened in this era of watches, and it happened more with this brand and this and this. And he said, anyone that knows anything about this era should know how these pieces patina. So it's another vintage guy.
Wow.
I have been trying like hell to get Christian from Theo and Harris on, but apparently, well, you know, I guess he's busy. It's the end of the year. He's selling watches. He's doing videos about a mega constellation from 1966. So, but on the other hand, I think this is the best thing, second best thing, is someone who actually has a lot of experience in used, in vintage. One of the things that also has occurred to me while we're waiting on him to click the link is it occurred to me that for you, this is probably the worst time to buy watches because you use, ADs and used retailers. But it would seem like because obviously Christmas, that's their peak sell system, they have much less reason to discount. But it seems like for me, where I buy from individuals, if you're putting up a luxury watch right before the holidays, it's because you need the money. So I'm kind of thinking this is probably the best time to buy from individuals. Maybe even after the holidays when people are trying to pay off their holiday bills. It could be they're looking at that Submariner in the drawer thinking, well, what's your opinion on something like that? Have you found any difference in the holidays between, okay, 10 zone, sorry, honestly, these two, do you prefer to hear a minute repeater or TGV singing carols?
Minute repeater.
I've never heard a minute repeater, but I think I would prefer it as well.
I've had it on my channel. I've had one on my channel. I had a JEWELLERY one. Remember? You don't remember that?
You've done a lot of videos. But I'll have to go back and look. And here we go. Okay, he's logging in. He's telling us, well, okay, minor technical difficulties. We'll keep the chat going until Uber Ohio gets here.
That's okay. That's okay. So
do you think there's a difference in the way you purchase watches before the holidays or after the holidays? What would be the better? Look, when's the better time for Archie Luxury to buy watches?
Look, I mainly buy watches from dealers, so it makes no difference. I mainly buy from dealers, which is that may be the wrong way to go. It may not be the right way to go there, but yeah, that's kind of my modus operandi. I think if you're buying from the punter, that's a good point. I don't know if people are that desperate. I think the economy is picking up. I think if they're selling their watches, they're kind of sick of it. They want to buy something else. It's kind of other factors.
Well, one of the things I've noticed that Rolexes are actually becoming fewer and fewer far between. It seems like the prices on the used market are going up, even here in America. But here's a funny thing, though. This is something I've actually seen a bunch of that I haven't really seen before.
What's that?
Blue Sea two-tone Submariners.
Oh, I see.
I've never seen so many at once. Not just in my local immediate market, but also in Dallas, also even a couple in Kansas. None of them purple, thank God. I think that's kind of interesting.
They're not cheap, but are they?
No, anywhere from 7,000 to all the way up to 85, depending on the configuration, how old it is.
Wow, that's amazing.
But hardly ever see those, or you'll see one, like in a tri-state area around me. But now all of a sudden there's like 5 or 6. I can't figure that out, unless I'm figuring it's people trying to free up some cash before the holidays.
I don't know if people are really that desperate. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's flashing on the same message that was on the screen. We're still waiting. We're still waiting for him to get here, and I'm kind of waiting for the perspective someone who semi-professionally flips watches.
Yeah.
Finds them. How does he find them? How does he sell them? What does he think is hot?
Yes. Yes, I know what you're saying.
One of the things I think are definitely are heating up, and it's really nice here in the flyover states because, when it comes to New York and Boston and the East Coast, we're 1 hour or 20 years behind, depending on how you look at it. So, and I was talking to Uberoki about it. He said, well, there's always regional differences. One of the things he said is, people in coastal areas really dive watches are super hot over there. Well, here's actually one of the things. Do you want if you want to find a good deal on a like a Rolex President?
Yes.
Apparently Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's like, there's no shortage of them over here because apparently, it's the farmer mentality. He's like, they're too nice to use. So like the one, for instance, my 1803 Signor Presidente, it was shut in a bank vault in Dallas for so long it went pink. So my 1803, it's roughly a birth year, and it's like 95% original condition. The bracelet is tight as all get out. Flawless.
I see.
But then I was told, but I was like, la 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 la, ha ha. Then I was like, no, that's not. Uberoki's told me that's not really that uncommon because they're too nice. People don't wear the watches around here if they're too nice.
I see.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was telling Uberoki, my soon-to-be partner's wanting one. And he's like, "Oh, I can get one. What do you want to? How old? What?" And I said, "I'm like good condition." He's like, "Don't insult my intelligence, boy." He's like, "What does he want? A date set or a single quest set or a double?" I said, "I think probably an 1803A would work." He's like, "Let me look around. I can probably find a really, really good condition one for $5,500 or $6,000."
I see. Wow, that's pretty good stuff. Tell me, what is the
pretty good stuff. Meanwhile, in Miami, on the East Coast, especially Miami, it's just like, God, if I could just get him in touch with someone that he would trust and associate with on the East Coast, like Miami or something, Cubans, other minorities, Italians, and to ship those, my God, that would be a match made in heaven right there. I was talking to someone on the East Coast that said, "Yeah, 1803 ain't good condition. I'd pay $7, at least, minimum." So there's regional differences, but I think certain pieces are, well, and one of the other thing he said is, quote unquote, gays in San Francisco like smaller watches. Keep in mind, he's in his 70s. He's well in his 70s.
Yeah,
so it's a little general.
Yes. Little
general, but kind of, let's be honest, kind of correct at the same time. But but one of the nice things is that the guys on the East Coast are like a time machine, because you get to see what's heating up over there. Meanwhile, it's like it's almost like the equivalent of getting to go in a time machine, going back to 1977, and buying all the Apple stock you can afford. Or Microsoft.
Yes, that's a good point, isn't it?
And they basically said one of the unreal. Okay, he's still trying. Come on, Dad. Technical difficulties, guys. That's what happens when you fly by the seat of your pants. However, one of the things I've said is that I've been getting reports that, like Swiss chronographs, even the off-brand ones, if they're oversized, if they're funky, or if they're like just a classic Panda or reverse Panda, are heating up. And my guys locally are saying, yeah, we're getting that opinion too, because when they get together for the big conferences, the out-of-state guys are asking them, "So, got any vintage chronographs? Got any good dive bezels with some decent patina on them?"
Now, these aren't necessarily brand name watches; they're just generic Swiss watches, aren't they?
Or lesser known brands.
How do you feel about lesser known brands?
Well, okay, super chat, Tanzeelan, sorry again, thank you. A night with Mimi T in exchange for your Polar Explorer.
No. I like people who have a pulse.
Yeah, but I have to admit, there's something about, like I said, like Asian gals with a British accent, that trips the trigger I never knew I had. But moving on. But yeah, even the off-brand ones, like for instance, well, you've seen my Hoyer from the 30s and 30/40s.
Yes.
This I have to admit it. This is one of my favorites. And it's even, it's got a chromed case for Pete's sake. So it's basically wartime issue. It's got the same Valjoux 22 movement. In the patina on this is uniform and glorious. It's nice and large and legible and easy to read.
Do you mind buying something that's a no-name brand, like just a generic Swiss brand? How do you feel about that?
If it's for the right price, yes, I don't mind at all, because the case looks just like the Hoyer case except bigger. It's got similar. Okay, here we go. Thaddeus, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. How you guys doing? Sorry about the delay there. I haven't used my Google login, and I don't know how long. How you doing, Pontiac?
Hey, good to see you. Good
What's
to see
going
you
on,
there.
brother?
Hey, that's great.
Big fan from Pittsburgh. I wish you the best, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep. So
Which
what
part
do you
of
guys?
Good. Well, we actually really started talking about the vintage market.
Yeah, you know what? I noticed on some recent videos, you know, Clyde, that you've been bringing up some vintage pieces to Paul's attention, and also on the Facebook groups, you've been bringing some really nice stuff, you know, to everybody's attention. So, what do you guys have on topic tonight?
Well, you seem to think that these things are prearranged and pre-planned. But so far, I mean, well, okay, a couple of things we've talked about is dealing from individuals versus dealing from used dealers or whatnot.
Yeah.
Can you tell a difference between buying before if you're buying like from individuals, do you think you get better prices before the holidays or after the holidays?
You know, for me, this is just a hobby, and you know, I was I'll give you a little bit of my background so you can understand where I'm coming from. I really didn't grow up in the world of watches, and I kind of regret it, but I did grow up in the world of antiques, and I used to have a Rolex Oyster Quartz for about 15, almost 20 years. And I wound up breaking it when I was working on one of the houses that we were moving from here. And I found out how much it was going to cost to repair. I took it to the local AD, and I was kind of shocked. I didn't know that Rolex would cost so much. And granted, with the quartz, it needed a whole new board, whole new internal. So it had to go back to Manhattan or wherever it was going to go for Rolex. It's not something that your local watch guy could handle. So I actually wound up stepping into the world of micro brands. And, you know, something maybe we can talk about on another evening. And Clyde, you know what? I love your DeVos, by the way. I know the Pontiac certainly is not a big fan of it, but the DeVos is a pretty cool watch. And there's a bunch of other brands that definitely I think that if Paul got exposed to, yeah, he might, you know, might say, hey, nice watch, but, you know, still it's a shitter in the world of the Pontiac, which I respect.
Well, right. He would run from it like a job application.
I'm certain for that. So, you know, as I started finding more and more micro brands, and specifically ones that were based here in the United States, I really, you know, grew a passion for them. And then I started finding vintage pieces. Shoot, what were you going to say?
Let me break in. We have super chats, and apparently, so this is us performing like monkeys for the, you know, and I guess Paul's accordion or the. Okay, super chat from Tanzil, and sorry, this is addressed to you. Tad, would you rather buy a double red Sea Dweller or admit Suckerhorn is God?
Well, I'm also a Suckerhorn fan, but certainly a red Sea Dweller, boy, that'd be amazing.
Okay, Tad, Suckerhorn call in 3, 2, 1.
Suckerhorn!
Thank you. Obvious.
Nice. Yeah, no, I got you. So another super chat there, or just one came over?
Oh, no, just one came over. So
okay.
So antiques, and then you went to micro brands, and then where from there? I imagine there's probably a little bit of an interlap between you vintage watches and antiques, since vintage watches are basically a subset of antiques.
Yeah, in essence, you know what? I going out to flea markets for years with my family, and my family being slight dealers back in New Jersey. I definitely got exposed to patina per se, and that's actually like on Instagram. I post a lot of my watches that I've had, and some other findings. My Instagram is Palmetto Patina, just in case anybody wants to check me out. Shameless plug. Sorry, guys. But basically, for me, I'm the sub $500, sub 1,000 vintage. It's got patina. It might need a little work, but it hasn't been run over by a car guy. So I love a lot of the 70s Omegas, a lot of the 60s Omegas, a lot of the bumper automatic movements, and I don't mind patina. So, you know, I know that you guys are friends with Christian from Theo and Harris, and I'm definitely a big fan of his and a lot of what he posts. And getting back to your original question, Clyde, and sorry for the circle around here, but you know, the original question was, you know, are prices more during the holidays? As a hobbyist, you know, and really just flipping a few watches, you know, I'll buy a watch or two, I'll hold on to it for a few weeks. You know, I think a lot of us have that sickness, let's say. You know, and what it does for me is I get to hold that watch, I get to see what it's all about, experience the movement, put it on some different bands, wear it for a few days, and then I pass it on to the next person down the river. You know, I assume timeout.
Okay, sorry. We're dancing. You know, we're the monkeys on the leash. Tad, is there more patina on Archie's Girlfriends or on your average 5513 Submariner?
I would assume Archie's Girlfriends. Who was the one lady that we had the video with? I can't remember.
Nana Kim.
Nana Kim. Yeah, Nana Kim. I can only imagine the patina on that one. So.
And Tad, I will apologize in advance for Fluffy Kitten. I don't know how well you are, but Fluffy Kitten is the newest Scourge Flash mascot.
Ah.
Do you prefer cut or uncut schlongs?
I'm not even going to go down that path. It's
okay.
Not something I want to discuss on video.
You have technically answered, so good. All right.
All right, cool.
So have you noticed anything, any changes, sea level changes in vintage pieces? One of the things I've noticed is Christian recently had a Lanco chronograph with like a Valjoux 7734 movement.
Yep.
And because it was oversized and it had a panda dial and had a little bit in the black registers had gone from black to chocolate, is technically counting as patina, and asking shortly under $1,900 for it. And Christian was taking a lot of flack over that. What's your weigh-in? Do you see vintage chronographs? And he's basically saying that the vintage chronograph market is taking off, even for lesser, no name or lesser name brands.
Yeah, as a hobbyist, I can definitely say, you know, and I'm sure a lot of the other guys are seeing the prices on chronographs, and even some of the ones that you've posted, Clyde, and I think that you've had in your collection recently. The prices are going astronomical, and you slap Valjoux on top of it. The prices are just getting nuts. Even some of the $200 Omega vintage pieces that I was able to find just about 9-12 months ago, you know, guys are now looking for $500 plus on a lot of them. It's crazy. And the watches are beautiful. The biggest thing that I can say about Christian and the service that he provides is exactly right there, that word service. You know, if you don't respect his service and what he brings to the table, then you can certainly find that watch somewhere else. If you're going to go to a brick and mortar vintage shop, you're probably going to pay double that price. The
other thing is too, he's in New York. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world. I mean, the rents and cost of doing business in New York is not the same as Oklahoma.
Sure.
And hey, I just wanted to ask you, I noticed you said antiques, right? How is the antique market in America? What is it like? The reason I'm saying that is I'm in Australia, and I got to tell you, antiques, there's always a market for quality antiques, but it is very, very depressed. The market is just, there's bargains around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's booming here in the United States.
Wow.
You know, even in you know, I'm in Pittsburgh, and obviously Clyde has his history here in Pittsburgh, and you know, the country right now, at least from my perception, is definitely in this vintage boom. People are looking for things that were made by hand, things that are repairable, wood, brass, bronze. You know, people are looking for that. You go to a lot of antique shops, and you know, there's certain cities you know, like Charleston per se down in South Carolina. You go down to a lot of the antique shops down there, the prices are astronomical now. And it's almost gotten to be where a lot of these pieces that you're seeing in the antique shops, you're having designers come in and cherry pick a lot of these pieces to go into multi-million-dollar homes. Go ahead.
Wow.
Okay. Well, by the way, Mark Goldberg, seriously think, Archie, Mark Goldberg is on the comments. What do you want to say to Mark Goldberg as a friend?
Hey, Mark, well, we got to do a live show. I think we need to get Mark Goldberg. We need to do a live show with Mark Goldberg.
Is it a live show, or is it more like a live intervention? Is it like, it's more of an intervention, let's be honest. Mark, we're coming from a place of love. I'm sorry, Dad, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. But
no, that's all good. You know what? And I think, you know, just as a side note to Paul, you know, and being a fan that's followed you now for, you know, a little over a year, I think you do need to bring more people into your circle here on these videos, some different viewpoints. You know, I think it's going to help you expand and not per se soften your edge, but definitely open up your doors to some more folks that might be able to support you. You know, now I don't know if you have reached out to a lot of these folks, you know, just off the top of the head, you know, I won't name names, but, you know, there's some folks that obviously you've have had riffs with through the years. But those alliances might actually be able to help, you know. Hey, you know, another question for you guys. How, you know, as watching you for a while now, how did Clyde and Paul, how did you guys link up here as friends?
Money. Money. He threw money at me.
Clyde threw you a few G?
I will befriend anyone if you throw enough cash at me.
Wow. So
no, actually, no. Well, you see, now the thing is, he did a great video on. I was looking at a Rolex 1803, my Mexican president that I went and got it out of Fort Smith.
Yeah.
And I saw he did a couple of videos on similar pieces from 2 or 3 years that were relatively scholarly works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so basically what I figured is I'm going to be making decisions involving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. This guy has been around the block a few times. He really knows his stuff. He's entertaining.
Yeah.
But he's knowledgeable. He's made, I mean, he apparently, you know, he knows the ins and outs. So paying him 20 or 50 bucks to validate or stop, or to validate or stop a decision involving thousands of dollars, to me, that makes about as much sense as getting that cab ride home after a night in the bar.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I definitely see the value of what Paul brings to the table with the reviews and with the advice. You know, you go to your local AD and you're just going to have somebody that's going to fluff you up and basically obviously want to get paid. And a few of the videos, you know, in previous that Paul had done concerning the markdowns that you can get on steel Rolex Sport, what you can get on gold. You know, I love the whole presentation that you did there of, you know, this is a secret. You know, so I go to the local AD that's down the street from me, and you know, I go in to look. But go ahead.
Okay, now this. Okay, Tenzil, I'm sorry. Who takes out more dogs on a daily basis? Mark Goldberg's canine business or Archie on Tinder?
I think we can tell the answer from Archie's laugh there.
Yeah, actually, that was okay. Okay, Enzil, that was a good one.
Go ahead. That was a good one. Yeah. Normally, you get a lot of screwy jokes. That was actually catchy. Though.
What watch are you wearing right now, by the way?
So Omega Seamaster. I think this is early '70s date. This is actually, let me look at the back end. This I'm really into, and Christian had brought some of these up in the recent months, watches that have engravings to folks. So this one actually looks like it was a '79 Seamaster. Let's see if I can get a better shot here. So, you know, this is a few $100 watch, but the crown is original, dial is original. You know, I had my watchmaker service it. You know, he does a very good job, very low cost. He takes a long time, but he does very good work. So, you know, this is the kind of piece that I'm into, and I wound up putting on a vintage leather strap.
It's gold plated, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gold plated, but I think back in the day it was probably a 20 or 30 micron piece. So I mean, unless you're literally going to town with a power buffer on the thing, you're really not going to wear the gold off of that. There were a bunch of cheaper gold plates back in the day that you can see down to the base metal, but luckily I haven't run across too many of them. I have a few other pieces here just to show you guys. This again, personal piece, an Omega. Manual wind. I believe this is a 601 off the top of my head. And this had the Pontiac logo put on it.
Wow.
My father was a Mr. Goodwrench and worked at a Pontiac dealer back in the day. I found that. I tell you what, I snatched that up in a second. And then I like a lot of the Art Deco stuff. So here is a Lord Elgin. It's a very geometrical piece and has a kind of a gable top, what is called a gable top. And it's really rare this has a 19-inch lug, especially for something this old. This is where that attainable, and Clyde, you had mentioned before, an oversized chronograph, with a panda dial and the black had turned chocolate. Those are really the things that I look for. Those are the things that certainly folks like Christian looks for, and that's what you'll see. Oh, there you go. Wow, nice, sweet. So Clyde, you're now that you're not married, kids are moved off, and you're the lawyer for the world. It's nice to grab some pieces like that. I'm definitely in the lower end of the scale, but I have fun with what I do. And I see a lot of guys, they'll disrespect each other, on a lot of the Facebook forums, and I'm not really about that. I'm not sure. Oh, there you go. Oh, jeez, too sweet. All right, you got to stop here, salivating, man, salivating. Hey, have you guys ever talked about or given your view on? Oh, there we go. Oh, unbelievable. See, stop showing off, man. Stop showing off. Have you given your view, Paul, on the time teller?
The time teller.
Yeah, because he seems to be breaking through on a lot of numbers here for YouTube and in following along. Have you seen his stuff?
What's his channel called? Time Teller, is it?
You know what? Yeah, I guess it is on YouTube. I don't even pay attention. I just get the streams or the subscription updates. So it's the time teller.
He's the guy with the beard, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's a big Seiko guy, and I've been a Seiko guy, for my few years that I've been collecting. Yeah,
that's a great channel. Yeah.
See, I'd love to see some of your energy and some of his energy. Now, like I said, he's a Seiko guy, and I certainly respect some of the. He does
a few Rolex things too.
Yeah, he does have a really nice vintage Rolex that I think is about a 31 millimeter. About the smallest that I'll go is really a 34. I've got one here, not a Rolex though. Something else again that's in the budget range. And this is my personal one that I am loving right now. This is an Enicar, and what's really nice about this one is that it's got a. What's that?
Tell me about the brand. I've heard of that brand. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know what? I can't find out too much about it. I know Christian has had some of these listed. So the brand itself has a little, it looks like a Saturn logo behind the name. And it's just really cool, some of the font that they have on their hours. And so this one has a waffle dial, and that's another one of those things, just like a blue dial, date just 1601. These waffle dials from the 60s and older, they're really tough to find that aren't whooped. What do you got there, Clyde? Is that another Omega? It's looking a little blotchy here. I'm like,
it's actually a Sigma.
Ah,
it is solid rose gold.
Okay.
I think you're gonna have to invest in a $5 camera next, Clive. This $2 one isn't really showing much.
Aren't you on the MacBook, Clyde?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm on the MacBook Pro. Well, wait a minute. Is that any better or not? It could be all the vaping.
It's a little better. It actually more looked like pixelation that wasn't coming through. Like I'm seeing Paul pretty well, but yeah, the close-ups with the watches are looking a little pixelated. So is that
Anyway.
is that Crown original on that one, Clyde?
Yep, it is.
Okay, cool.
So how many watches do you have there? How many do you have, my friend?
Oh, me personally, right
Yeah.
now, I've only got about probably 10 or 11.
That's okay.
Yeah, you know,
No,
and
that's
again,
fine.
they're sub 500 pieces.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I've had my expensive watch. You know, and you know, and after hearing how much it was going to cost, I was like, you know what, I got to say goodbye.
What did you do with that? What did you do with it then?
You know what? I actually found a guy that was living here in Pittsburgh, but I guess he's in the watch game back in New York City. So he's got like family or friends, according to him, and this is going back, boy, this is about 3-4 years ago, maybe. He wound up buying the watch for Clyde.
Okay,
How much?
Tanzil, sorry, $2 super chat.
Yeah.
AC, and this is a question for Archie. Would any of Thad's watches get him laid in Bangkok?
Actually, and also there was one there. Thad is Houdinki Ezine or AC Bangkok series. Thad. I don't understand. Who is Thad?
Oh, okay. Fluffy Kitten also, are all three of you on the AC3 weight loss program? Okay.
Oh, Thad. Thad's the guy. Oh, I see. No. Sorry, I know who. Thad's this guy we've got on here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thad, that's you.
No, that's
Thad.
all good.
Sorry.
I was going to say, is there another Thad hiding out there? And actually, I go by Ted, guys. My name is Thaddeus, but I do go by Ted, so feel free to call me Ted.
No, that sounds great,
Okay.
Ted. Look, that's yeah. I don't think any of them really. I don't think watches actually. I got to be honest with you. I don't think watches really help you get laid at all. I got to be honest with you. I've had fucking presidents, gold subs. They don't really work. They don't.
No.
I've never really had it to work. You know that?
I've been at.
Okay,
Shoot.
I have the exception, and it's a limited exception, but so far this works. Okay, but you know, I've got my HR watches, the crap watch, the Nazi watches, right? And I tell about the story. I look at, of course, they don't have Hitler on the dial or Nazis or swastikas or, Reich Eagles or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In this point, I tell the story about how I got them and about the old man I bought them from, or got them, who originally had them, who got them from his uncle. And well, my uncle was in Patton's Third Army.
Mm.
Well, what did your uncle do for Patton's Third Army? Graves registration.
Uh-oh.
And it's like, wait a minute, your uncle stripped these off the wrists of dead Nazis?
Wow.
Now I tell that story, and if the girl my age says, cool, I got a shot. I mean, she's just twisted enough to where I can, So actually, yeah, under the right story. I mean, that's actually the right story, but on the other hand, haven't we always been trying to give women the right story to get laid?
Now, Thad, tell me this: how much did you get for the oyster quartz? Sorry, the oyster quartz. What did you get? What price did he pay you? What did this shark pay you?
Think about 2,200.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
And the oyster quartz in good condition now. You could expect to pay about $3,000 to $3,500 from a decent dealer. You'll find them from individuals per maybe $2,500 to $3,000. Yeah, I think I actually lucked out on the guy that bought it off of me, and that money, one, went to go pay some bills, but two, literally started things off on the micro brand searches. Yeah, that's fine. So,
sorry?
Hey, I certainly have been out of the lady game for a bunch of years. I'm married and all that fun stuff, but I got to be straight with you, Paul. That I personally think that you could probably have a Michael Kors watch and probably get more of an ooh or an ah from a lot of women. I personally wouldn't wear a Michael Kors watch, but I think that folks are just so brand centric. Yes, Rolex obviously being the brand that everybody knows, but you could just as easily say, oh, it's a Burberry watch. and you're probably going to get, whoa, really? Especially from, you know, the folks that aren't in the watch world. You know, you've mentioned it, and it's good.
Okay, so that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do it now before Tanzil and sends another $2. So Archie, what would you rather? What would you choose between wearing a Michael Kors watch or not getting laid?
Oh, wear a Michael Kors watch, no problems. It's only a watch.
It'll burn your wrist.
That's actually, but you know, actually, Ted, that's actually an awesome idea. And not to mention, it's really hard. You have to get them to listen to you for like 2 or 3 minutes for the Nazi story to get the reaction. I mean, if you're walking around with that as your first line, I can only imagine you're probably getting some stay away from that guy in the bar.
Dad, tell me this: do you have any high-end watches now? Like one high-end watch?
No, currently I don't. You know what? I've got a house, married, kids, all that fun stuff. You know, maybe these high-end watches will come back into my world.
I gotta say, it's true. So many people take it for granted on the internet. You see these wonderful collections where people have got 10 Rolexes or all these. These are bloody expensive things, don't you?
No doubt. You know, one of the videos that I recently saw on Hodinkee, you know, a lot of the Hodinkee stuff is ultra high horology, as we all know.
Yes.
But Alton Brown's, the guy that does what is that chef show, Iron Chef, and a few of the other chef shows on Food Network, Alton Brown. He did a video with I think Ben shot the video with him for Hodinkee, and his collection was slightly attainable, and that's what I really like to see. And you know, it was nice to see some watches that were, you know, in his collection that had some personal history and weren't these, you know, $50,000 to $100,000 pieces. And then obviously he's a multimillionaire, you know, several times over, I'm sure, and can have any watch he wants. But he's bringing to the table and he's collecting the watches that I'm into. You know, and that's, you know, we always need to keep in mind that we are an offshoot of an offshoot of an offshoot. I mean, this is just such a small segment of the population that even know about the watches that we're wearing. You know, when I'm you know, let's say out at a store or in the airport, I'll see somebody, I'll spot a watch. Actually, you know what? Boy, I can't remember the name, but there was one micro brand that somebody was wearing that I spotted. Oh, it was an Oak and Oscar. And I spotted
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, check that brand out, Oak and Oscar. Pretty cool brand. I think they're a US-based micro brand. They've only done a few models, but I spotted one. Some guy was wearing one, and I went up to him and I said, "That's a really nice Oak and Oscar." And he goes, "How in the hell do you know what this watch is?" You know, and it feels really cool when you run into somebody that does know something. And you know, like even you know, even Paul, like your Reverso, you know, or your Grand Date. You have a Grand Date, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. You know, you can be in Starbucks or you can be in a thrift store, and you are going to get people that are either going to think that is a $2 watch and, you know, don't even pay attention to it, or you might run into somebody that's going to know, wow, that is an amazing watch, especially for how copied these designs are. I mean, I love the Reverso, would love to have a Reverso. That's definitely a style that I would love to have in hand. But you know what? I step back and think about it for a second. I'm like, does anybody even know what this watch is? You know, and granted, you buy a watch for yourself and you're supposed to buy it for yourself. But, you know, a lot of the things that you mentioned, Paul, about, hey, when you buy this watch, the resale value, good.
But it's almost like a fraternity or a brotherhood, because it's one way that we reach out to each other. For instance, I'm doing something on the Brisbane Watch Forum. I call it the Fraternity of Reverso Wearing Watch Wankers. So accordingly, the rules is, if you have a Reverso and if someone posts another Reverso on a public forum, you have to respond with GHEY, gay.
Oh boy.
That identifies you as
we just had a shout out to Suckerhorn from Fluffy Kitten. $2 super chat. Shout out to Suckerhorn and his cut schlong.
Oh my God. I guess I've been missing some videos recently. So.
Oh yeah, you have definitely been
yeah,
missing.
I've actually,
you have or have not been missing.
I gotta say, Thad, don't you think that the problem with the internet is that it's just these watch gurus come on here. It's a chance for them to big note themselves and show off how many my watch collection's better than yours. It's.
I think so to a certain extent. You know, I think that. You know,
that's why, Thad, I've always tried to show the other part of my life, the fact that I have beetles, carpet beetles, and pubic hair lice in my studio. I like to show that I have no curtains. I like to show that, you know, my collars on my shirts are thread-borne. I like to show that
you drive a Civic.
I drive a Civic with a big dent in it. And
that you did Uber.
But yeah, you know what I mean? I don't want to just say, hey, I'm wonderful, I'm great. I just tell them the truth. You
sign cigar bands and putting them on postcards for everybody for $5 or $20.
Yeah, that's exactly. I got the fridge advertising on the fridge, you know?
Yeah.
I tried to do that because so many people there are just so wonderful. Oh, my life is so wonderful. I do this. I like to show the ugly side. I had $100,000 in consumer credit card debt at one stage.
Wow.
You know, and that's a problem. Clive has gone a bit on the deep end. He's got a massive collection. Clive has gone on the deep end. Massive collector. And
it's relatively modest, very modest.
You know, it's all perception. You know, the term modest to somebody.
We got a nasty comment, nasty super chat. Archie, what's worth more in today's Australian currency? A bottle of Johnny Walker Red Label or Thad's collection?
Okay, and that's one of the things, though. Really, is it possible to have a collection with horological worth that doesn't necessarily involve a lot of money?
No.
Yes. Go ahead and keep screaming that. I don't want to drive the dogs crazy, but I'm gonna say yes, you can. So you know what? More than anything, I think that a lot of the gurus that are out there, I think they're having fun with it. You know, maybe
I think it's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. It's gotta be. You have your one Rolex, then you buy an Omega. Yeah. And then you say to the wife, "Can I get a Reverso?" And she's got to bitch slap you and say, "You buy another watch and you get divorced, and you got to sneak it in." That's what you got to do.
I've seen enough of your coachings.
Right.
Have you ever lied to your wife about purchases?
No. You know what? I'm very lucky that my wife and I see eye to eye on a lot of things. We see eye to eye on furniture and clothing and purchases that we make. Yeah, sure, I'm a big kid, and there's some toys that I do like to have. But no, I'm very lucky. We don't get into arguments over that stuff. Now, I'm not going out, to the AD, and dropping, money for a sub. So, I think if I would, sure, there would be an argument. But you know what? Even if I was single, what value is that bringing in? And speaking about the sub is one of those, have to have checklist items per se for a guy that wants a watch, especially, Paul, you've talked about it, the up and coming executive or mid-level manager, what watch you can and can't have before you wind up being looked at as, oh, well, why does he have that watch and how much does it cost? A lot of the people that I've run into in business and just in general in my career that are wearing a Submariner, they have no idea what the watch is about. They have no idea about the history of the watch.
I got to tell you, this is so true. With Rolex, normally you see a nice watch on somebody, and if you see a Reverso, they're a fucking watch person, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You see a Patek, know they're either money or that they are a watch person, right?
Yeah.
You see a Vacheron. I mean, you wouldn't have a Vacheron unless you are a watch person, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you see a Rolex. I've said to someone, nice Submariner. He goes, no, it's a Rolex.
No, it's a Rolex. Yep. It's kind of the same thing in some of the experiences that I've had in the one that I mentioned concerning micro brands. You're not, another brand that's overseas that I was really into that does have a lot of value. Helson and also Armida. Those are some really cool brands that make some really nice dive watches, some really insane lume on them. I was one of those lume guys for a while. What do you got there, Clive? What are you showing?
The Orient. The Aureus.
Ah.
You're gonna have
cool.
to get a $3 camera, Clive. I'm sorry. This
$3.99.
I can't see the bloody thing. I can't see a thing, Clive. I can't see a thing.
If you see
When you
somebody
sold me
with
this
one of
camera
these,
when you sold me this camera for $100, you said it was the best one money could buy, Archie.
yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I got to tell you this seriously. With watch collecting itself, I think I really do any of you guys ever think watch collecting will die? Like pocket watches have died out, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
you know
your
what's
career goals and dreams.
Like what? What's that?
Like your career goals.
Yes,
Career goals and dreams.
Exactly.
You know, going out to some of these watch shops and even antique shops, you see still a lot of pocket watches hanging on, and some really high.
Waltham. There you go, Waltham.
Waltham. Yeah, and Whitnell. And you know, it's crazy because a lot of the folks selling these, the prices are still really high on a lot of pocket watches, which I don't understand. I don't see too many guys, even in the Facebook forums, you know, posting pocket watches. And granted, I'm, you know, mainly in wristwatch forums, but still there's, you know, offshoot guys that,
of course,
you know, collect a little bit. I don't understand some of these prices that these antique shops are still trying to get, and dealers that are still trying to get for pocket watches. You know, and I understand if it's a solid gold piece, but I don't see those being collected anymore. I do like, there are some being converted over to wristwatches, you know, that are some of those like 40.
That's nasty. Oh,
you don't like that, huh? I've never had one, but I tell you what.
Oh, that's mean.
I love some of those railroad style pocket watches that had the look of them that have been converted over to wristwatches. You know, I grew up somebody that was in my family was big into railroad.
That's how Panerai started. Basically,
there you go.
They were pocket watches converted to wristwatches because they were simple and crude enough for the Italians to make them. And
and you know what?
Rolex.
Sorry, Clyde. It's weird that you actually mentioned the you know, the Panerai thing there. One of the first micro brands that I purchased was a brand called LumTech. It's LUM-TEC. They're actually based out of the east side of Cleveland, in Ohio. There's your DeVos. There you go, brother. So yep.
That's
and
one.
So yeah. You got another one.
Well, I've got an antique California.
Yeah.
And a antique Kampfschwimmer.
Okay.
Yeah, Kampfschwimmer. And there are variations, and to me, it's okay. Well, okay, I don't want to like go complete TGV here and let's just come all over homage watches.
Right.
But when it comes right down to it, keep in mind they're homage. It doesn't say, you know, it doesn't. The dials are sterile. It only has DeVos on the back. You've got stainless steel. You've got quality manufacturing. They're pretty darn close to the original radio mirrors from the late 40s and 50s.
Yep.
And they have the original, and they have good ETA movements on them, like the original watches did. I think those are better homages to the radio mirrors than the actual Panerais are.
You know, the movement thing is also one of the big things that I'll see on the forums, where guys will see a nice watch. You know, I like some colors. I like oranges in some of the newer watches. You know, I definitely like textures, stuff like that. But as soon as it doesn't have a 2824 in it, then it's like, oh, why is that watch $500? We can't pay that. It's got a Miyota in it. What I just still don't understand that yet. That it's got an ETA versus a Miyota. Like or it's even got a Seiko and NH35. It doesn't matter to me personally. You know, I do understand to a certain point it is a different engine per se, like having a different engine in a car. But you know, if the watch looks great and it definitely piques your interest and you like wearing it, I don't understand. Like the brand that I mentioned there, LumTech out of Ohio, they have a Panerai look to some of their watches. Some of the font is that Panerai style, and I fell in love with those watches. And that's another thing that got me deeper into the micro brand world and watches in general. Is I got to I was out on the east side of Cleveland and I stopped by their office. Shoot.
Okay.
Super chat. AC, is Vacheron still relevant? No new exciting stuff. I actually agree. It's dying. It is really. They had some of their histories collection is quite nice, but I agree with you. But mind you, AP without Royal Oak. What the hell is AP without Royal Oak? So I think Vacheron's got a few nice things. I don't mind the overseas. And I don't mind the Toledo. The Toledo is sexy, and some of their histories. Now, Thad, I wanted to ask you there. You've got such a fucking cool room you're sitting in. I love these metal steins, these aluminum signs. Can you show me what have you got here? Where are you?
Sure.
Is this your bedroom? Is this your lounge room? Where the fuck are you?
No, it's my garage.
What do you got? This is your tools behind you.
Yeah. So
tell me what you got. What do you got, man? What's there?
Archie gets excited when he's surrounded by a bunch of tools.
Go, well, hey, here he's going to go crazy. So right over here, we got the Pontiac Sign. Again, I mentioned earlier, my dad was Mr. Goodwrench and actually had a GTO back in the day. I'm also a pinballer.
Ooh. You have a GTO now?
No, I tell you what, I wish I did. That my dad used to race NHRA back in New Jersey at Raceway Park, the straightaways, and yeah, he was really big into it. A friend of his actually started a Chevy speed shop, and I think still has it in Central Jersey. But yeah, I grew up in watching the races per se, and it was a lot of fun.
What do you drive yourself? Tell me this.
I'm a Subaru guy. I absolutely love Subarus. I've had several of them, and none of them have had any other problems other than brakes, tires, and oil changes. And
Subaru, any Subaru wagons?
The Forester and Forester and the Outback.
I thought you had to be a lesbian to drive a Subaru.
I've seen a lot of those stickers on the backs of Subarus, but I think more and more as people look for, especially here in the Northeast per se, people look for the all-wheel drive aspect in a lot of vehicles, and they want good gas mileage. I love those cars.
Have you ever been at a stoplight and a large woman wearing flannel pulled up next to you, rolled down the window, and drove off?
No. What?
Okay.
No.
See, that's sad. That's exactly what happened to the car industry. You're reminiscing about Pontiac. Why don't you buy one?
Yeah, there you go. You know what? Actually, second vehicle was a Pontiac Grand Prix from the dealer that my father used to work for back when he was like 19, 20 years old. I had a Jeep, actually was my first vehicle. Loved that thing, but it ran lousy. Just constantly had problems with it. Got rid of it.
Proud to be made in America.
Yeah, there you go. I've had Ford Explorers. Hey, you know what? The
Exploders. They're called the Ford Exploder.
Yeah, you know what? The Explorer was actually pretty cool, but the thing got like 13 miles a gallon. That's horrendous. That's absolutely horrendous.
Did you guys ever hear anyone use the racist acronym for Pontiac?
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's crazy you mentioned it. I luckily haven't heard that in a very long time, or probably about 20 years since I've heard that one.
That's because no one's had a Pontiac in 20 years, but yeah.
There you go.
Oh, AC and Clive, tell the audience what you consider to be today's Holy Trinity.
I don't think it's ever changed. Paddock, AP, and VC. That's the Holy Trinity.
Yep.
And maybe Lange and Breguet.
Oh my God! Will you let go of Breguet?
You don't like Breguet?
I don't know. You don't like
my Bregster? You don't like my Bregster?
The problem with the Bregster is, I think your Breguet in particular, certainly respect the watch, respect the brand.
Sure.
But it is one of those watches that literally you could go to Marshall's and pay $20 for a watch that probably looks just like that. And I wouldn't, but I'm just saying that watch. It's awfully
blingy and showy. It's just like if you want something that's that over polished and that attention capturing, then for Christ's sake, buy a Breitling.
And you know what, Paul, you've mentioned that you've been thinking about grabbing a Breitling. I tell you what, I would love a Super Ocean Heritage. Either I love the brown dial, the brown dial, or the green dial. So cool. Oh man.
So cool.
I have to admit, it's something that I always looked at it and thought twice. But every time I've seen like 2 or 3 in real life, and they are attention getters.
Yeah, there's an AD that I was in Minneapolis probably about 2 years ago at the Mall of America, and there's a deal. Ben Bridge is the dealer that was there, and I know they've got a bunch of locations. But that was the first time that I actually held one of those Breitlings, and very impressive. Very high quality. I also like the Avenger is the other one that I've seen, and the reason I love the font on the dial. It's a very aggressive angular block font, which I'm really into. So, hey Paul, another one of the items that's in the back wall here is I got a little antique pinball playfield.
Okay.
So one of my other passions per se is I am a pinballer. I do like pinball machines, but I'm specifically into the electromechanical ones from the 60s and 70s. I love the old school reels. I love the old school chimes. I love the sounds of, you remember the old slot machines from the 80s. Yeah, Clyde, sorry.
I was going to say, Dad has good stories. He did it a couple of times with the right boots. What he would do in the Army was lift up gradually and softly the pinball machine and put them on the tops of his combat boots to slow down the incline and give himself more of a fighting chance.
It didn't. Boy, it must have been some really old machines, because all the tilt mechanisms in the at least in the 70s ones, you tilt that probably just about 5 degrees. Yeah, you're gonna pop it.
They were really old ones. Tad, we need to start unfortunately, we've got some paid reviews to go to. Let me ask you a couple of quick wrap-up questions.
Shoot.
What is the nicest vintage piece you've ever found and flipped?
Was a Tudor. I forget the model number, but it was an oyster date, a 34 millimeter. Really nice silver dial, stainless case. And it was a watch that I found at a pawn shop. It did need a new balance. Is it balance wheel or balance staff? It needed a new balance staff, but my watch guy replaced it, and really, really cool watch. Didn't make a lot of money on it, but it literally just led to purchasing a few more Tudors that were vintage. And yeah, as long as at least they wind and they haven't been run over, I'll certainly bring them into the arsenal and try to get my guy to fix them. So, next question.
What have you found any pieces that you have held? Said, nope, I'm keeping this one.
You know what? The only one I per se am going to hold on to is this Omega with the Pontiac logo on it. And again, not an expensive piece.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But a piece that has neat. Personal. What's that, say again?
That's pretty cool. That's neat, actually. Yeah, with the Pontiac.
Yeah, and I have the original strap and buckle, but it literally, I think the guy that owned this used to change oil for a living. It was so crudted up, and I didn't polish it. I actually just took a little bit of a cloth to it, but not one of the Cape Cod cloths. And what's really nice about this case is it's very similar to the pull router that has the curved lugs where the lugs kind of twist. It's really hard to tell in the video, but the lugs actually twist a little bit. And actually, you know what? I did have a pull router right before Christian really went crazy on them and started selling them. And so there's a perfect example of a watch that, just probably 2 years ago you could get for a few hundred, and now they're in the few thousands, those Universal Genève pull routers. It's crazy.
So in other words, it's spotting the trend, or trusting your instincts. I think in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm really fortunate because I'm relatively I'm very unlearned, but I think I've got decent instincts. I mean, there have been vintage pieces that I've been well mentored, but they're vintage pieces. If it catches my attention, all I know is like, ooh, it catches the second look. Then when I study, and I found out what's special about it. what are vintage pieces that people can look for now that you think are currently underappreciated, may not stay that way? What do you think is going to be the next? What do you think is going to be the next big pole router, or in Archie's case?
I don't think a massive jump in price, but there was somebody actually on. It actually was on the Theo and Harris Watch Fam earlier today that was asking, should I buy a? It was a Tudor Tudor Heritage, I think, or a it was a Rado. I can't remember the brand.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Rado. I did see the Rado. The Rado actually has. Yeah. Okay, now would you suggest going and getting a homage piece, or would you suggest trying to look for the original vintage, especially
original vintage? And you know, Rado's one of those brands that I've been watching in the vintage market that they're attainable. Also, with the Mad Men thing, and you know, certainly, you know, I am part of the UGWC. I don't post too often on a lot of stuff, but I do post some of my watches, you know, and I understand the bumps that you've had, Paul, with Tristano. But I think a lot of the Art Deco pieces, the Lord Elgins,
I think you should say you were a member of the because once he finds out, you will be banned. You realize that, don't you?
No. You know what? I have no problem saying that. You know, I follow you and I follow him. You know, I think you guys both bring a lot of value to what I'm into in the watch world. You know, and that's why I click on both of your videos and watch what's going on. I've owned a Squale. You know, I don't have it anymore. But I think some of these Art Deco. Hey, don't make that face. So I actually really liked my Squale. Okay. So anyway, Clyde, going back to what you had asked, some of the Art Deco pieces that are attainable. There's a lot of Art Deco pieces that are, you know, the $200-300 out there that I think are going to start going up in value, especially if they're wider lugs, because a lot of guys are looking for those oversized jumbo pieces that they can put an 18mm strap on, and they're tough to find. A lot of those older ones, they're 16mm, and they're just a little bit too tiny for my taste. But for me, I'm always looking for some Art Deco stuff.
Okay, you've also sold pieces directly to Christian, I think.
There was just one piece that he purchased from me that he wound up selling, and I didn't even know it was him at first. Actually, it was just an eBay listing, and lo and behold, I saw the name for shipping, and I'm like, "Which one's that? Did you get that from him?"
No, hell no. I know I get these from my local guys.
Oh, okay. All right. No, you keep on throwing up these watches. So I shot him a message and said, hey, you know what? I really like your channel. I like what you're talking about. I like what you're doing. And you know, in a lot of ways, you know, I wish I would have done some of the things that he's doing in his early 20s. You know, he's making a lot of good decisions and making a career for himself without having to bow down to you know, a corporate monster per se. So
what do you do, Thad?
I'm in the insurance industry.
You don't like that?
I do. You know, I like sales. You know, I like talking to people. It's definitely a lot of fun. I've been very successful at it. Previously, I was back in New Jersey, used to design in-ground swimming pools.
Did it close off?
What happened? Uh-oh.
Whoopsie, he'll be back on again. He'll be back on again. Thad, I got to tell you there, it's very interesting to talk to you. I love the enthusiasm. I love your backdrop. That backdrop is so damn cool there. You know?
Thanks, man.
I don't know if you can see behind me there, but I've actually got an Art Deco clock behind the champagne there. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
is that a Bakelite piece?
No, it's actually marble, one of the French marble clocks. You know,
really?
It's heavy as they come.
Okay. And, is it working?
Yeah, it is. It is working. It's again, antiques are very soft in Australia. I paid about $400-500 for it. I advertised it and couldn't get any inquiries on it. I just wanted my money back, and I think I'll keep it. It's a nice.
You might as well. I mean, just right off the bat, something like that. At least here, you know, I could only assume probably a minimum of a few $100 it would cost in an antique shop here, especially for older clocks that are working, and obviously it's electric.
Oh no, it's nothing there. It's not electric. It's 1930s. It's manual wind up.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that.
But they're not worth much. They're not worth much. They're worth nothing.
Across the board, even here in the States, have you looked on eBay?
Well, I mean, they're too heavy. You can't ship it anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if it's marble. Yeah, the luckily some of the United States Postal Service, the flat rate boxes here in the States, their term when they started pushing those boxes was if it fits, it ships. So you could have, you know, that clock could literally be up to 70 pounds and it would ship for a flat rate with our postal service. So,
wow, yeah. Look, it's it's a very interesting thing. I've got to tell you there. You've I like to see that you've got the enthusiasm for the collecting. I do wish you're the sort of guy I'd like to see with a 1990s Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon on your wrist. That's what I would like.
I'll get there eventually.
I would like to see that, you know.
Here's where I sit, though. Here's where I sit. I'm still in the mode of I'd rather have, and I know, you know, certainly you call them shitters per se, but I'd rather have 7 vintage watches that are a few $100s each, that have different flavors, different dials, different colors, different fonts, rather than that one Speedmaster. And I certainly do respect the Speedmaster, beautiful watch, but I'm still in my path through you know, watch collecting in this hobby where I sit right now. I'm still at that. I'd rather have several low end pieces rather than the one heavy hitter.
I know what you're saying.
So variety being the spice of life. Okay, sorry, my Mac is just fucking me up the ass today. Anyway, it's after Jesus Christ. I used to be so goddamn smug about Macs too. Anyway,
love Mac.
Since these updates in this iOS, Jesus Christ.
Archie, would you qualify
Invicta or Baum and Mercier?
Invicta.
Really? I actually didn't hear the whole question. I just heard Baum and Mercier. There's some really cool Baum and Mercier designs that I'm into.
Saying, Archie, would you qualify that as a target consumer for Invicta or Baum and Mercer?
No, you know what? I've never owned an Invicta. I mean no disrespect to the folks that collect them, but I personally am not an Invicta guy. And I've been to the Invicta stores. There's actually a few designs that I like, but I just it never did it for me, even at 99% off. And that's one of the biggest turnoffs that I have concerning that brand is, hey, you know, here's this watch that retail price is $5,000, but it's 90% off today. I just right off the bat in my watch journey, that really turned me off about that brand. And if it probably wasn't that way, I probably actually would have owned an Invicta or two, when I first started getting into the hobby.
Let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, Thad. It's been a pleasure having you on here. We'll have you on anytime. Please come again. Please come again. And
thanks,
hey, it's great to talk to someone who's a realistic collector, because I am getting, I got to tell you, I'm sick of these people who are just so rich, who just buy. It's good to have some real people there. So thank you so much. Let's wrap this baby up, Clive. I'm going to press the button now.